award-winning financial pro. Get ready. Level up with Winnie Sun.
Well, hello, friends, and welcome to today's live level up conversation. Whether you're joining me live or catching me on replay, thanks so much for making the time. If you're brand new to the show, welcome. I'm Winnie, your host and award winning financial pro, a Forbes contributor, and a CNBC contributor and council member. And it's wonderful to be here with you. We are on many different social media platforms. If you didn't already have a great week, I just want to wish you, of course, a happy Tuesday. Hope that you had a beautiful weekend. Let's let you know where the markets is currently. Currently, the Dow is down 71 points, Nasdaq's down 47, S&P 500 is down about 9 points too. We still have got about 25 minutes left before the market's going to close here, but unfortunately, yes, S&P has officially ended its winning streak. As many of you know, we're still waiting for the Fed's decisions next month as it pertains to interest rates, but nonetheless, unfortunately, right across the board currently, as we just stopped a 8-day winning streak. We were hoping it would go longer, but that's okay. Sometimes these things happen, and days like this will occur. But we're still seeing some strong numbers coming in from different corporate earnings, and of course, now people are wondering whether or not the Fed is going to be lowering interest rates next month by 0.25% or 0.5%. So the overwhelming majority of analysts are feeling that the interest rate cuts will occur next month. So we'll have to see. Now, on today's news, of course, the energy sector as well as the communication sector are areas that have been seeing a lot of movement. And one of the areas, or one of the big news stories I wanted to share with you, is coming out from our friends at CNBC, amongst many other financial publications. But if you didn't know already, Eli Lilly has been making a big news this week. In fact, their weight loss drug is showing that it could have significant reduction in your risk of getting diabetes in a very long-term study. In fact, this is a major development in the area of healthcare. So Eli Lilly's weight loss drug is now, they said, based on the studies, could slash the risk of you developing type 2 diabetes by a whopping 94% in those who are obese or overweight, adults, of course, with symptoms of pre-diabetes, according to a very long-term study of theirs. So this late-stage trial allowed different patients to maintain significant weight loss and an average a decrease of about 22.9% in body weight over a roughly 3-year treatment period. So this new drug, I'm not even going to try to say the name of it, but this is now Eli Lilly's very popular. Um, um, this comes about in addition to Eli's popular weight loss injection, Zepbound, and their other diabetes drug, of course. It has a similar active ingredient, which is part of their GLP-1 class of medications. So they're saying this has a potential to help those who are not currently diabetic use this kind of drug for prevention, as it could delay or even prevent type 2 diabetes in people who are pre-diabetic, which is a condition, they said, that affects a whopping 1 in 3 Americans. So this is a big deal. So if you didn't hear already, this is something we can definitely keep on the radar. And they're saying that nearly 900 million adults currently worldwide are at increased risk of type 2 diabetes due to, of course, weight and other health issues. So this could be a big deal. So this is kind of hitting in many different financial publications. I've been seeing a lot of talk. It's actually at some point it was actually trending on social media as well. So big talks on that as well. Now, speaking of big talks, there's another big change that we're seeing in terms of airlines. Now, Alaska and Hawaiian Airlines are in very deep merger talks. Now, this is, of course, something that could impact a lot of travelers. For those of you who've flown either airline, you might be looking forward to seeing if they could come together. Neither of these airlines I would consider to be very large. So coming together would probably make them much more bigger. And what I'm wondering is also if they're going to join a major airline alliance like One World or Star Alliance or something like that. But now they have cleared a very big hurdle. The Justice Department is now allowing the period for an antitrust investigation to expire without filing a lawsuit. So that's big. The deal now awaits approval from the U.S. Transportation Department, or the DOT, which will then assess whether the merger serves the public interest before they're going to finalize the process. Now, if they're approved, this will actually be the largest U.S. airline merger since Alaska's acquisition of Virgin America, which was just 8 years ago, which will combine a fleet of over 360 planes covering 130 different destinations, of course, including Hawaii. So Hawaiian Airlines has faced lots of difficulties in because of competition, the Maui wildfires. But if you've ever flown Hawaiian Airlines, you know that experience is actually very positive. I remember they gave a great meal, even if you're in economy, and they have unique beverages. So definitely a very client-centric airline. I'm hoping with the merger, if it does occur, that will continue to have that better experience. All right. Speaking of changes, let's talk about news. You probably know that we're in a big election year this year. November will be the big presidential election once again this year. And one of the candidates, of course, is former President Trump. Now, Trump has come out to talk recently and given us an idea of what things he would do if he were to be reelected. Well, this news just came out this week. In fact, the EV tax is under review. Now, former President Trump, the Republican presidential candidate, is now considering ending the $7,500 EV tax credit, saying that it's just not efficient. He has, of course, previously sought to repeal it during his presidency, but it's also interesting to note that former President Trump is also sharing on social media that he's open to appointing Tesla CEO Elon Musk to an advisory role or cabinet position if he were to be elected president once again. So that's interesting because, you know, Elon Musk is also a very important person in the EV world, the electric vehicle world. So anyhow, these tariff threats on, of course, other vehicles and other electrical vehicles, we'll see how that unfolds. I think it's still too early to make that decision. Obviously, we don't know who's going to be elected president in November, but nonetheless, that's what we know so far. That's what former President Trump has been made known so far. He's also talked about hinting that TikTok might avoid a ban if its Chinese owner ByteDance divests U.S. assets, and highlighting, of course, the concept of free speech. He's also talking about, sort of making sure that certain companies don't buy other companies and that supply chains stay very solid here in the United States. There'll be some things that I think we can embrace, especially about emphasizing American job creation and whatnot. But this one topic, I think, is of interest. So we'll see how that unfolds. If I get more news on that, I'll share that with you. But I see a lot of you joining me on social media today. Thank you so much for making time and jump in and say hello. Let me know where you're joining me from. All right. The next one I want to talk about is something that may be impacting you. And I know it's impacted many, many Americans. And that is a major data breach yet again. But why this one is so important is this one actually impacts your social security number. We're talking billions of Americans have been compromised. So not only your social security number, but personal data. And so this actually dates back to a lot of time that they've actually exposed all this data. So in order to see if your social security was part of the breach, you'll want to visit mpd.pga.gov pentester.com. You want to enter your name and your birth year, and this tool is going to show any affected accounts, including the last four digits of leaked social security numbers. Now, if you find out that in fact your data was compromised, there's certainly some things that you can do. First off, you want to make sure you monitor all your financial accounts if you don't already. If you work with a financial firm, a financial advisor, a bank, and whatnot, it probably doesn't hurt to alert them that you've been compromised and so that they can put a notation in your account. You also want to consider setting up a credit monitoring service and contact one of the three major U.S. credit agencies, such as Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian, just to let them know and to place a fraud alert on your account. This alert also will help prompt creditors to verify your identity before opening new accounts as well. Now, for even stronger protection, you can even temporarily freeze your credit. Now, this is something that's pretty easy to do. I've done this through Experience website before, but you can actually just do that. You can freeze your credit, and so that way you know when things are being initiated in your account. So if you don't anticipate maybe getting a new mortgage or refinancing or opening up a new credit card anytime soon, you could probably do that. And then if you do go through that process of getting a new credit card, for example, or a new car loan, then you can unfreeze your credit so that you have some sort of authority and control on that. All right. Now, speaking of things that unfortunately aren't great, but still important to mention, is something that's occurred from BMW recently. You know, we've talked about different vehicle issues. We're starting to talk about Tesla. I think we talked about Toyota not too long ago as well. But BMW is now recalling 720,000 of their vehicles, unfortunately, due to an issue with their water pump. So this is a defect in the water pump's electrical connector, which they say poses a potential fire hazard. So this recall is going to affect many of their vehicles, including the BMW X1, X3, and the X5, which I know is their sort of mid-size SUV. Now, this involves water pumps with inadequate sealing that may allow fluid to enter the electrical plug connector over time. And so this is, of course, a fire risk. So the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the NHTSA, is warning that this could actually lead to a short circuit and rare cases maybe even cause a fire. So if you own one of these vehicles, you're going to receive a recall notification later this year in October, which will give you some instructions on how you can visit your authorized BMW service center for a no-cost repair for this part, of course. Now, unfortunately, I wish I could tell you it was like some of Tesla's previous recalls where they could just send, this fix over the internet, over Wi-Fi, and then your car would just get updated. But unfortunately, no, this does look like something that you would have to take your car in for. But, better to be safe, right? We want to make sure. And that's good that they're addressing it. And hopefully that'll address any potential fire issues on your car if you're owner of one of these vehicles. Now, speaking of things that, of course, are impacting travel, we've talked about Alaska. We've now talked about BMW's cars. We also need to talk about Boeing. Boeing, for those of you who've been following the news last year, and if you've been with me on this show, you've been hearing a lot about Boeing. Boeing's now has another issue with another one of their planes, the 777X. Now is facing potential setbacks. Now, these planes were supposed to be launching a potential launch in 2025. Now, they have pushed that behind, and it could potentially be longer because they have had to pause tests on their long delayed 777X aircraft after discovering structural issues. Now, these issues occur between the engine and their wings during a test flight. So this could potentially delay their launch that was supposed to occur later this year. Now, this issue involved a component that didn't perform as expected. And so Boeing is expected to replace the part. And of course, they have plans to incorporate things that they learned from this before they're actually going to resume test flights. So if they can't do the test flights, then they probably can't sell these vehicles and, of course, get people to be flying them. And I'm sure we wouldn't feel comfortable and we want to make sure that these are safe. So now, this is being touted, of course, as the world's largest and most efficient twin engine jet. It was originally slated for a 2020 launch, so it's quite delayed at this point. But this is, of course, a series of setbacks for Boeing. They've had a lot of reputational issues, a lot of concerns. And I'll be honest, when I book my flights now, to fly my family and I to different destinations because we've had to do a lot of travel for some of my kids' activities, I'm always a little hesitant when I'm booking a flight that is flying a Boeing aircraft. I actually take a look and see, like, is this one of the 77 the Max airplanes that had issues with Boeing, or if it's a different kind of aircraft. I don't know if you do that, but I've talked to some travel friends and they seem to do that as well. But nonetheless, federal investigations are reporting and highlighting more flaws in Boeing's assembly lines, and this is causing considerable delivery delays, and of course, not to mention all the reputational issues that they've been having. So with that, let's take a look at the market is. Currently, the Dow is down 68 points, Nasdaq's down 30 points, and the S&P 500 is currently down 7 points as well. So we'll see how the market does later this week. Hopefully things improve. We'll certainly continue to keep you updated. But thank you so much, my friends, for being a part of today's live level up discussion. Do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on all the latest content. And if you will watch past full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun, you can check out NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, Samsung, LG, and Roku. And for the most recent episodes, you can certainly, of course, check out my social media platforms, which is where you're joining me today. And when sharing the show, thank you so much for those of you who have done so. And make sure to tag at Winnie Sun so I can properly thank you on a future episode. Thank you so much, Joshua. Thank you so much, Vicky, Stacy, Medea, and so many others who have been doing that this week and last week. I really, really appreciate it. And of course, if you want to check out Yes Factor with Winnie Sun, that's my podcast. And you can check that out on Apple Podcasts and the LinkedIn Podcast Network for those of you who are interested in listening to that content. Thank you so much. Be well. I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care now. Bye-bye.